Some series pull you in with mystery, some with atmosphere, and some with a premise that already feels dangerous before the first episode even starts. 9. The Brother's Son. A family crime story always hits harder when it has personality, and that's what made this one so easy to watch. Instead of playing everything straight, it mixes gangster violence with comedy, family tension, and a really slick energy. Michelle Yeoh already gives it weight, but the real appeal is how fast and entertaining it feels. It's the kind of series that knows how to be stylish without losing momentum. 8. Salvador. A desperate father infiltrating a neo-Nazi group to save his daughter is already a strong setup. But what gives this one more bite is the emotional angle underneath it. The deeper he goes, the more the story stops being just about rescue and starts becoming about fear, ideology, and what happens when someone you love is pulled into something dark enough to feel unrecognizable. That kind of premise can get heavy fast. 7. Agent from Above. Fantasy works a lot better when the hook is simple, and this one has a very clean one. A troubled young man becomes a divine agent after making a pact with a deity, and suddenly his life is tied to protecting the mortal world from dark forces. That gives the whole show an easy blend of mythology, action, and supernatural chaos. Once a series has that kind of built-in world, it becomes easy to disappear into. 6. The Grey House. Civil War espionage is already enough to make a series feel different, but centering the story on 4 women working through the Underground Railroad gives this one much more identity. That's what makes it interesting. It's not just about war on the battlefield. It's about intelligence, risk, and quiet operations that can shift history from the shadows. That kind of setup gives it more weight than a standard period drama. 5. The Swedish Connection. A bureaucrat saving thousands of lives during World War II is not the usual kind of heroic story, and that's exactly why this stands out. Instead of making the tension about combat, it turns paperwork, diplomacy, and moral courage into the engine of the drama. Based on the real story of Swedish diplomat Gösta Engzell, it has that rare angle where the stakes are enormous, even though the fight looks quiet on the surface. 4. The Rip. Money always destroys trust fast, and that's the whole power of this setup. A group of Miami cops finds millions in cash, and the moment outsiders learn about it, the real danger becomes each other. That's the kind of premise that doesn't need overcomplicating. Greed, pressure, suspicion, and a team starting to crack from the inside is already enough to make a crime series addictive. 3. Black Doves. Spy thrillers usually depend on secrets, but this one sharpens that by tying espionage to grief and revenge. A woman working as a spy for a secret organization is forced back into action after the murder of the man she loved, and that gives the whole thing more emotional force than a standard intelligence story. With Keira Knightley in the center, it already has that polished, high-end feel. Once betrayal and personal loss get mixed into a spy story, the tension usually lands harder. 2. Something very bad is going to happen. The title alone does a lot of the work, but the premise backs it up. An engaged couple heading toward a wedding that feels increasingly cursed is already enough to build dread, because the horror comes from knowing disaster is coming before you know what form it takes. That kind of setup is great for slow, uncomfortable tension. It doesn't need to rush. It just needs to make the feeling of doom worse with every episode. 1. Detective Hole. A detective thriller gets much stronger when the lead already feels damaged before the case even starts, and that's exactly why this has so much pull. Harry Hole is brilliant, troubled, and chasing ritualistic murders through a world of patterns, corruption, and his own personal demons. That alone is enough to make it stand out. The best crime series are never just about the killer. They're about obsession, decay, and a lead character who looks like he might fall apart before the truth comes out. Some of these are built on atmosphere, some on tension, and some on pure premise alone.